Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. Joining me, the moose in England,
Moose.
and together we're going to try to make sense out of what might happen tonight. That's you see, the thing is, it was like Bronk was asking me, so we're going to talk about the Browns schedule, and I said, I'm so sick of reading about the Browns schedule and people making these far-flung predictions. No, this is Cavalier night. I don't even want to talk about the Cleveland Browns because it does nothing but create dissension amongst people, and I don't have time for it. Tonight is the single most important game, not only of the season, but of the last several seasons for the Cavaliers. And as they try to strike while the iron is hot and try to eliminate the Detroit Pistons.
I would agree. It's the most important game since the Miracle of Richfield. Because you got to throw out all of those LeBron playoff things as LeBron playoffs, and then the odd time when Michael Jordan beat Mark Price and that lot. This is like Miracle of Richfield territory here.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, it's a group of players who haven't proven they can do it. And now they're getting this opportunity at home on their home court. So what we've learned, this from realcavsfans.com, my buddy, Zach Zarba is the ref for Game 6. The home team wins 56.7% of the time, which is about 2.4% better than average. The free throw attempts are the same as the league average, but home teams average 1.7 less than visitors. That doesn't, I mean, if the free throws are even, then the people in Detroit won't have anything to, well, they will have something to complain about if they lose. But if they win, then the foul thing will go away and all of that horse shit. And fouls are called 0.3 less per 48 minutes. So this is not like dealing with Tony Brothers or not like dealing with some of the other referees where they just literally go ballistic. This is much more even with league numbers overall. Right. So, hi, Stephen Rose. How you doing? I wanted to start out the program. I look at sports as in a comprehensive sense. I mean, I'm not going to fool anyone by saying, oh, I know a ton about the strategies of basketball and football. I'm not an analytics guy, that. But I do know from experience and years of watching sports and seeing the outcomes of sporting events that what is the single ingredient that matters. And when everyone's been talking about the slow starts the Cavaliers have been getting off to in games, and they really haven't gone off on a tear to begin a game. No. And, and in fact, then most of them, they have fallen behind and started turning the ball over very early. As of late, they've gotten better on their home court as far as reducing the number of turnovers to at least a quasi-sane level. I'm a big boxing fan, always have been. Not so much today because I think UFC has stolen some of the thunder and some of the athletes. I don't think becoming a brain damaged boxer is something that people look forward to. I mean, You take a look at Deontay Wilder and you take a look at people who are fighting way beyond the age of 40. And it isn't much for me to watch anymore because from a humanistic perspective, it's never going to compare to the age of boxing that I grew up in, which was the heavyweights of the 70s, where you had legitimate people who had legitimate chances to win anytime they got into the ring. Not only did you have Ali and Frazier, you had Norton. Then you ended up with Foreman, and that then you ended up at the end of the decade, Larry Holmes, and
all that shit.
Yeah, and that's just the heavyweights. I mean, you could go to so many different weight classes. But the thing I know about guts and gutting things out, which is really what we're talking about, because these two teams are very tired, And and for obvious reasons, these guys are playing hard, and there's so little rest in between. In order to jam these games into the schedule, and with the physicality and the speed of the game, it's really very, very difficult for the players. That not being an excuse, just a fact. In the world of boxing, if you're fighting a Mike Tyson or if you're fighting a George Foreman, you better show up for the first 5 rounds. And I don't mean by beating him, I mean by fucking surviving. There are so many examples of guys who get into heavyweight fights who they can't get through the early tough rounds because the champion is a devastating puncher and they get nailed with a punch when they're cold. I mean, see Michael Spinks against Mike Tyson.
Oh, poor Frank Bruno, the hero here.
Over and over again, yeah. Poor and, my feeling is that very often it's not the guy who gets off to the great start, but the person with resolve who's able to lengthen the fight and maintain their tempo, their pace, their conditioning, and their strategy over the long haul. And I've seen it so many times in fights where the great technicians, not just the guys with, but the guys like Bernard Hopkins, who would never go down in history as one of the big punching middleweights in history and light heavyweights. No, but he was in such great physical condition that he would survive. And he, if he was anywhere near even by the middle of the fight, he was going to win. There's no doubt he was going to outpoint you, or he might catch you because the opponent was tiring out. At the same time, you have other circumstances in which the fighters just get hit with a big punch and they're out early. And how many times did you see George Foreman over the course of his career punch himself out? Ali was the biggest example, but if you never saw the Jimmy Young fight, I mean, he was just literally pooped. He could hardly raise his arms by the 10th round. And I think that for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the type of team they are is, and this is the way they've won so far. So I think this is a very good comparison. If they kept things relatively close in the first half of the game, then there is a better chance that they start gaining a little bit of confidence, a little bit of rhythm, and can dig the game out.
Yeah, I think they've had better conditioning than the Pistons from a very general point of view. I think they got more stamina, even though the Pistons are a younger team.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the style of play. And I think that the Cavaliers intentionally went away from being the Cavalanche team of last year, and they put the dot over the I by acquiring James Harden, who isn't going to beat a turtle up the floor, bringing the ball up. So keeping the game at a certain pace and occasionally striking with, unexpected kind of Max Strus mania on the courts, getting some steals and just rattling the Pistons, which they were able to do in these past 3 games. The question is, can you get them into a position where they're drowned in the deep water?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's the first thing. And I wanted to just let people know that in these last 3 games, that all of this is very much very cumulative. And we're looking at the last 3 games, and this was and I'm making sure that I'm looking at the right games here because I want to do this correctly. There's game 4 and game 5, and we'll start with game 3. The Cavaliers won the game 116-109. At that point in time, Tobias Harris that night played 38 minutes. Duncan Robinson, 36. Look what it did to his back this time of the season. Jalen Duren played 29 minutes. Cunningham right at 39, and Oscar Thompson at 29. And that's when we started seeing Paul Reed, and that's going to be a factor here. Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart have more in the tank, and maybe even more will, perhaps, than Duran does, who's had a really rough series. But you're seeing 38, 36, 39 from 3 of the 5 starters, and the other 2 are right at around 30. And if you're looking at the Cavaliers in the same game, Jared Allen had 32, Mobley 36, Harden 40, and Donovan Mitchell 38. So it is relentless for all of the teams, and it goes from there into Game 4. And Harris plays 36 minutes. Duncan Robinson 29. But the thing is, Duncan Robinson only took 2 shots in the entire game in his 29 minutes. And then he turned up with back problems afterwards. Jalen Duren, 27 minutes, not because they're saving him, but because they're trying to get him off the floor because they're not doing well, because he has a cumulative minus statistic when he's on the floor. Cunningham is still at 39, 40 minutes. And Thompson played 19 minutes in Game 4. And then Paul Reed came off the bench and scored 15 points in 14 minutes. And so, and Karis LeVert had his big game, playing 31 minutes and scoring 24 points. And that was, but still, the result of 112 to 103. The Pistons are, not scoring enough points to get the job done. And again, they haven't broken in these last 3 games over the 110 mark. And it was one of the reasons why Mr. Moohead was screaming, Cavaliers have to make 3-point shots. If you're trying to match this team with 2s, you're going to have a real problem on your hands. And to finish up this particular digression, Game 5, in which the Cavaliers won in overtime, you're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. Jared Allen playing 36, Mobley 43, Harden 43, which is tough on a 36-year-old guy, and Donovan Mitchell playing 42. Donovan Mitchell, whether it was when he sprained his ankle on the cameraman or whether he's just wearing down, 7 of 18 from the floor and only 1 of 8 from three-point land. Max Strus was forced to play 36 minutes in that game to get the away game win that we needed to come home to try to close this out at home. On the other hand, the Pistons went all out to make sure that they had the lead coming in to tonight's game. And Tobias Harris played 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Duren only 25, once again by coach's choice. Cunningham 48 minutes, and I'll tell you, he was shot. At the end of the overtime, man, they were double teaming him, and he was a decoy. He didn't do anything during the end of the game, and he's the guy they got to rely on. Oscar Thompson, with 41 minutes, is only taking 2 of 6 from the field. I mean, he's doing a good job defensively, but he's not giving them anything offensively. And Jenkins had to play 41 minutes, and he's young, and so he's got the spring in his legs. But that was just simply because, Duncan Robinson
was hurt and the other guy was
couldn't
hurt.
play.
Yeah.
Paul Reed played 17 minutes and got 10 points again and 8 rebounds. Paul Reed is going to get a lot of floor time tonight. There's no doubt. And I think Isaiah Stewart played 11 minutes and got 8 points and contributed, and he hadn't contributed much in previous games. LeVert playing on questionable heel, 24 minutes, but was only 2 of 7 from the floor. He could not back up his good performance. So I'm guessing, because I don't have the information, nor has it been published anywhere, but I'm thinking that Duncan Robinson will play. We don't know how bad his back is. And I believe LeVert will be back out there to give them a little punch. And Herter, I don't know. Herter was on the court for 3 minutes and they pulled him.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to expect on that front. But
Well,
again,
we had our shortest rotation in that last game, and it mainly down to Tyson imploding, and he got taken off out of the game and never came back in. So I think we only really played 8 guys in that game, the overtime game. Struce, Merrill, and the other guy's escaping me now. But yeah, I mean, so we're going to be tired too. So we need somebody like Tyson. To
Tyson is
step up.
mentally no. I mean,
Well,
after what
if
he
he's
did,
unable to play, then he's unable to play. Then
no, he's emotionally not to be counted on. After the 3 minutes
wow,
and the fool he made of himself on the floor, if I were
yeah,
the head coach, I would have very little
yeah,
confidence
I
putting
know,
him on the
I,
floor.
I know. But then the only bench you're going to have is Schroeder, Merrill, and Struess, and is that enough?
Well, you know, it's
It's a
but you
tricky
can't have a
thing.
guy punching somebody or elbowing somebody in front of the refs and just losing his composure
Yeah, they get
completely.
thrown out of the game. Yeah,
And they just made him look so amateurish that it was I don't know. I have concerns about Tyson because he fell out of favor with the coach, and who knows how this is affecting him. And he's probably frustrated. He wants to come in and make something happen. That's not what we need from him. We just need some solid minutes defensively. But if he's out there trying to bump chests and all with bigger men, he's going to come out on the short end. And if he's there trying to guard Cade Cunningham, Cunningham is way too fast for him.
yeah,
So it's going to be it's a tough matchup. And I dare say that Jalen Tyson, it's a tough matchup. If against the Knicks, I can see it because
yeah.
it's more half courtish. But when you start trying to get this full court game going, Jalen Tyson is not a good ball handler. He's sloppy, and he's not using his head.
Well, we're going to need a big game from Wade then, and Wade's going to have to spend a lot of time guarding Cunningham.
Yeah, and Richard is saying, who is the last American-born NBA MVP?
It's a long time ago. I'm going to say I apparently got it right, but I was guessing. But it's like 8-9 years ago the last time an American won because Embiid's Cameroon and
Right.
Alexander's Canadian and Jokic is whatever he is in Eastern Europe and.
What is the answer, Bronk? What's the answer?
James Harden.
All right. Well, there you go. That's a long time. A lot of European and foreign influence in the game, and that's good.
I mean, I don't think I don't know how long ago if Durant has ever won it. Yeah, Durant was ages ago, so it would either be Curry, Westbrook, or Harden. So,
and he's asking me if I'm all in on starting Dean Wade.
Well, we kind of have to.
Yeah, here's in the last game we're talking about, he played 23 minutes. He took 0 field goals. He had 6 rebounds, no points at all, and 1 personal foul. And part of his job is to try to wear Cade Cunningham down because that's who they're going to look to. They're going to look to him because he's the guy on that roster. Am I in on playing him? Yeah. I think that if Detroit lays off him, you get a good idea from Dean when he shoots his first 3. If the ball is flat and just kind of flies off the rim or the back brace without any air under it, it's going to be a long night for him offensively. And that's when he clams up and he stops shooting. He has a real lack of confidence. But he's one of those guys who, if they decide we're going to double the ball at all costs and we're just going to let Dean Wade stand out there offensively on the wing, and if he makes, his first 2 3-point shots, it could be a pain in the ass because I've seen him light it up. And what we're trying to accomplish with the 3 ball is to get to a number that we really don't think Detroit can get to. And again, to keep the boxing analogy going, if you really box scientifically the first 5 rounds against a guy like George Foreman or Mike Tyson, you may lose virtually every one of the rounds. And then, you've got 7 rounds left. And
Yeah.
but winning on points and tiring out your opponent can be a very good strategy when your opponent doesn't have the offense late in the game, whether it's in a boxing ring or on a basketball floor.
Yeah,
And
I mean, the guy around nowadays is Usyk that does that. He seems to wins his fights on points and
yes,
driving, and you know, bigger guys, you know, like Tyson Fury and Klitschko's and all those fuckers. You know, I
yep,
mean, Usyk, you know, no one would have given him a chance before he won that first championship, as I recall. So
he fights composed and he doesn't loop. He's not just throwing wild punches
he's
like
well
Deontay
trained.
Wilder.
Yeah,
Yeah. But again, Dean Wade is part of the fabric of the starting lineup because you want him to immediately put pressure and start wearing Cade Cunningham down. And the team has won without him even scoring based on his ability to stay in front and make things difficult for Cunningham. So I think, yes, you want to start him. And I know that the Cavs fans were not real high on him, and he's not a physically strong guy. He's kind of got pelican legs. But again, you can't lose track of any guy on an NBA floor. I mean, we learned that. I mean, when we sat there and we watched Jenkins just tear the roof off the sucker against us,
yeah,
and you can't leave guys wide open because they can shoot. It's under pressure that they have problems. The Pistons have a bigger problem than the Cavaliers in the sense that they're not playing at home, but also Tobias Harris at 33 years of age, these 40-minute games that he's playing, it's taking the spring out of his legs, and that really damages his ability. Like he was, in the last game, 1 of 7 from 3-point, and that's what he was doing so well early in. He was 2 of 5 from 3 the game before that, but only 6 of 17 from the field, and then before that he was 7 of 14 from the field and 2 of 3 from 3-point. So it's been going downhill for him, and it could be his legs. So that's going to be a massive challenge. It's not just Cade Cunningham, who I think is 24, 25 years of age, and he's not going to have any problem from a conditioning perspective, but a 33-year-old guy, and that's what we have to worry about with Harden coming off of playing so many minutes in the last game to get that away win. It's you wonder if Donovan Mitchell's legs are starting to go. He was already dealing, as I recall, at the beginning of the series, there were feelings that he had, was it a thigh issue or there something going on in his lower extremities? And then seeing him hit the cameraman, it really... And even the points he scored at the end of the game, he was very gingerly. He wasn't going up to make the signature moves. The swim move wasn't there. The dunks weren't there.
Yeah, he did it once, I think, and that was it. So,
and he looked like, even on the Max Strus steal, he just laid it up off the glass because there was no thunder in the play for him.
Well,
so
that's what I like. I actually like to see that. I mean, I'm sick of these Jared Allen, let's slam it as hard as we can, and the ball goes flinging out of the rim and down into the half court. If we get to the rim, let's not do a Karis LeVert. Let's just make sure we fucking score. If we're at the rim, score the basket. Don't try to
draw the foul. Go hard to the basket. Don't pull up and do fades,
Yeah.
And that's what this comes down to. The Cavaliers have a better scoring offense than the Pistons do, and the Pistons thrive on getting 20 points a game by stripping the ball from the Cavaliers in turnover time. So, it's very easy. Neither team has the big bomb, and I'll be honest with you, neither of these two teams are going to win the NBA championship, and I don't think either team is going to beat the New York Knicks. All right,
It's pretty doubtful. I mean, I
and
wouldn't put money on it.
I would give us a better chance to beat the Knicks than the Pistons. And that's predicated on the kind of basketball that the Knicks are playing, the fact that they're rested.
Well, they
And
just have more talent overall their roster.
yeah, and I think that's the biggest
long way.
big problem for the Pistons is that
they really don't have enough talent.
And a guy like Tobias Harris is on the going off the wrong edge, and Cade Cunningham's really coming into his own. He's a fine basketball player, and when you have a guy like Duran who's just not showing up, and I think the same things that were said about Jared Allen not showing up against the Knicks is what's been happening with Duran.
Well, let's say the Detroit Pistons fluke their way into the NBA Finals. It would probably be the worst team since that LeBron team of 2007 to make it into the finals. I mean, they're just a one-man team with a supporting cast at this point. I mean, Duran's not – I wouldn't say Duran's an all-star at this point. I wouldn't say any of them are. It's not a good team.
And I'm looking at the chat here. Richard's saying, I heard he went through an early shoot around and looked okay. I don't know who he's referring to.
Any of them, so.
Yeah. Oh, he's saying Duncan Robinson. Yeah, I saw him doing his basic workout. And you would think that a guy whose back is kind of seizing up on him, that they've given him the therapy that he needs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's they got a lot better therapy than we have access to. I can tell you that.
And they need his 3-ball. They really need it. I mean, that's
well, see, that's going to be hard to shoot. And with LeVert, if you got a bad heel, I mean, how do you there's a lot of guys that have leg problems that are going to make it difficult for them to be that accurate on shots. So that's going to be it's going to be a bad basketball game, I think, as far as like low scoring and, a lot of rebounds and a lot of bullshit.
My experience is, again, if you encourage the big punching heavyweight by standing in front of him, then he's going to take you out in the first 5 rounds of the fight. And the same things with the Pistons. If you back off and you allow their pressure to make you start running willy-nilly around the court, making mistakes, they're going to be around for the whole night, and they're going to run up points doing their version of defensive avalanches that result in breakaway layups. The idea is not to give away anything early that way. And it may require making the game closer, but for the Cavaliers, the thing that is most important, they cannot regress into the last possession of the last game where Donovan Mitchell basically dribbled the clock out and never got a shot at the rim.
That was totally Atkinson's fault. We went over this the other day.
And
I haven't seen that show.
Crazy. It's crazy not leaving a timeout. And not even using it.
Doing a play,
because you were afraid that you couldn't get the ball in bounds. So again, it's very hard to be aggressive when your head coach thinks in these terms.
When he's a puss, basically.
Basically, you think that the problem has existed all season long, that they could have drawn up something better, but they aren't doing that because maybe the creativity just isn't there. But when you let games go down to the last seconds, anything can happen. One call can change the game.
We've seen miracle shots go in against us, Halliburton, and that shot that bounced up 500 feet in the air that went in, the other week. So I don't know.
So, I mean, the way I know that the Cavaliers are sitting in a good position, I would feel really good if they go into halftime with a lead on their home court because
I would think so, yeah.
they're
And
a good
even if it's like
third quarter
50 to
team.
if it's like 50 to 45 even, I could see a low scoring 5-point lead, at halftime.
Yeah,
So,
but I guess what I believe is they're a good third quarter team, and that's where the Cavs have shined in many of these games and throughout the season was being a very good coming out of the locker room third quarter team, and that is just going to come down to will because like all epic battles where maybe it's kind of like if two fighters don't have the knockout punch but they they're in great physical condition and they like to throw punches. You're going to have an action packed back and forth, and then it just comes down to who's hot and who's not, and who's due for the Cleveland Cavaliers and who's not. I mean, somebody commented in the chat room, "Did I have a heart attack here?" When Mobley was bringing the ball up the court, yeah, you bet your ass. But I'll ask in return, did you have a heart attack when you saw him throw up the three from the top of the key that went in?
yeah,
It was like, no, yes. It's hard to have confidence as a fan when there's so much differential between how these players play from one night to the other. You would swear that Tobias Harris was God when the series began in Detroit. I mean, he couldn't miss. And you would swear that Cade Cunningham was God. And then you had to sit there and watch Duncan Robinson throwing them in. And it's like, holy cannoli.
Yeah, off down threes going in left, right, and center, man.
So, for me, the way it starts with the Cavaliers is always going to be with Harden and Mitchell. But the real X factor is that our bench has to contribute in a way that they contribute the best. And Sam Merrill hasn't gotten off with a big 3-point night sometime.
Well, he's been hurt too. I mean, what's wrong? What's been wrong with him? I mean, is that affecting his shot?
Well, I mean, he has been dealing with the problem with his hand for a good number of weeks now. And that's not good if you're a shooter. But I believe that he is a dangerous person when he's on the floor. And if they have a way of springing him, they can only double, and they can't double the number of players they have on the court. They can double team our individual players and trap. Somebody's got to be open, but it takes a cool head. And my feeling is, and it's something that I really wish that the Cavaliers would do more, is if they're getting, trapped in the backcourt, which is what's been happening when Detroit's been successful, or on the wing where the one defender is the sideline in essence, and then they come at you with two guys. I really want to see Mobley flash at the foul line. I want to see him flash into the paint to give them an interior pass. And we did this on the play that that Mitchell hit a big three in the last game. And also when Strus hit a corner three, you get the ball to the and you're trying to move the ball the shortest distance. You can't throw the pass east-west and expect it to beat the length and speed of today's NBA players. The whole key, you get an intermediate like Mobley, who then knows to throw the ball to the corner or to the wing, and the ball moves faster than the defender, and that gives guys like Strus and like Merrill time to line up threes. And if the Cavaliers hit in the range of 13 plus threes in the game, it's going to be hard as hell for the Pistons to win. And they know that. And I'm not saying that, JB Bickerstaff is the smartest guy in the room. In fact, I really don't appreciate his attitude. I never have. And his players in Cleveland didn't either. And him talking about Cavalier players that he coached, he should shut his fucking mouth, because
Wow.
Nobody wanted to play for him. Donovan Mitchell did not want to play for him. And if you ask Karis LeVert didn't want to play for him either.
Yeah,
And
but somehow he's still with them now.
well,
It's
that
weird, isn't it?
you go where they
Where
contractualize
would they
you.
take you? Yeah.
There's money in this. He made like what $20 million on a contract. I mean, you're not going to say, "Well, fuck Detroit with JB."
Fuck Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, take the money and run, man.
Indeed.
So I want to see more intermediate fast motion and movement of the ball swung from side to side that will beat this double team and trap. And rather than catching the ball and turning down the three like Dean Wade does, take that three and it's just mathematical, folks. Every single three, if they're a 2-point shooting team, and we make 13 plus of them, how are they, if they're only going to make somewhere in the range of 8 or 9 in a game, that's points that they have to make up, and they have to make them up at the free throw line, or they have to shoot it in an entirely high percentage. And in the games they won in Detroit, they were shooting 55% from the field. And that's what it takes for the Pistons to win, their defense and to have a good 2-point percentage shooting performance. That's what it takes. And I would love to see Strus continue to shoot. And the thing with Strus, he can be on one night, off one night. He's had a hell of a run here lately. So I hope that Merrill or somebody can get free and give us the looks we need from three. And I'm hoping that Spida has some gas left in the tank because we need to have a better performance from him. The team picked him up, which was great. But
yeah, I know he was like 1 for God knows what from 3.
Yeah,
and that one was in overtime now, and that's turns out to be the one we needed. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we need to win this game because we're not winning wherever we play on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Knicks or if we're playing Detroit on Sunday, we are not winning that game. So we got to win this game.
And Richard, I was reading so many angry Pistons fans on social media and their media guys and their podcast guys. And something, if Jared Allen had fouled him, I'd be the first to admit it.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
It's a fact. It either happened or it didn't happen. You can't will it to happen because you want it to happen.
Oh, I think it all started with Mike Breen or whoever on the broadcast said, "Oh, he tripped him," or "That's a foul," or whatever.
Mike Breen can suck my dick.
I mean, I think that's where it came from. No, I think if some other announcer having a different view on that would have seen that Allen was pushed out of the way. It just depends on your viewpoint on the floor. But,
I took how many minutes of the last program is slowing down that play and showing exactly what happened.
10 minutes, I would say.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that there was a shove off by the offensive player, Thompson, and there was a stumble that was caused by contact, not in the lead foot, but of the swing around foot of Allen. There was no way that Allen could have known he was going to trip the guy because he was looking in the opposite direction.
Yeah, he was like looking to see which person he was going to crash into on the sideline.
He was shoved.
His fall.
But, with that much time left in the game, they're not going to call anything because, both guys are scrambling for the ball. They both have a right to the ball, and there's going to be some body contact. And, the Pistons can blame that all they want. The fan base can blame that all they want. Cade Cunningham and Jenkins, and they can all whine about it in front of cameras. The bottom line is that if they had not given up a 9-point lead in 2.5 minutes, and if they had come out ready to play in that overtime, they weren't dead meat at that point.
No.
But they came out like the Walking Dead, and Cade just let his pocket get picked by Strus. And we ended up with a 5-point swing in a matter literally of like 5-6 seconds.
It was unbelievable.
So it's I'm not one who sits there and tries to make something up. I'll say something else. The rules are going to be changed in the NBA because I see what Harden is doing, and he's going vertical to shoot his shot, and then
kind of going forward,
slants his legs
slants
down,
forward.
and and I think that the idea originally of the rule was that the shooter had to have land space to land. That was the whole thing. But now the defensive man is going to need landing space.
To land too, yeah.
And, I can sympathize with the defender who's trying to get up on a guy like Harden and stop that fadeaway. But he's got that coordination that even though at the moment that he's shooting the ball, he's completely vertical, at the last minute, his legs kick out.
Yeah.
And of course the guy's jumping to try to block the shot.
Forward. So he's jumping forward with his right hand. There's so few left-handed defenders. What you really need is a left-handed defender on Harden, and then it would be the correct way around. You know what I'm saying? It's because Harden's left-handed that's a lot of the problem.
Well, before, but I think the rule's going to change. I think
it will have to.
There's got to be a landing spot for both players. I mean, because you can't defy gravity.
I think there's a lot of players that do that on the 3-point line.
Yeah. Gravity is gravity, and you're not going to change and alter the properties of gravity. And there has to be some, but you're going to see more replays of that being looked at, because how do you defend that? And right now, there is no way. Even a 36-year-old man can get over on you that way. So, and that's the other thing. The reach, they teach players don't reach with your hand because he's just going to come up through you. Yeah. And that's the other thing. What I noticed earlier in the series is when Harden did that, they were just calling it an on the floor foul. And I think that's what you're going to see again. I don't think you're going to see James Harden getting a bunch of 3 free throw opportunities on that particular move. I think they're going to all start calling them all on the floor fouls. So
the other thing I think is going to get figured out is the Mitchell windmill gather trick, where he goes up the ball over the guy's head. Now, what I've often thought when I've seen that is that why don't the defender, when he feels that's going to happen, jump up in the air? He could knock the ball with his head. There's got to be a way to defend against that. That the defender senses the ball's going over his head. He's got to, but it's too quick for him to get his hands up to do anything. I don't know. I mean, somebody's going to figure that out.
Yeah, and I think the way the game is played so fast now, and Shane, we need a big game from Allen. We need
a big game from everybody. God damn it! There's only going to be 8 guys.
A big game for Allen is not putting up a lot of points. It's rebounding and blocking shots and making sure that.
Around.
Yeah, that's right. And getting that, Mobley and Allen need to give them one shot and rebound the ball and clear it out and help get it up the floor. But if they're sneaking in and they're getting second and third looks, we're going to have a real problem with that. So I guess, my definition of a big game from Allen is double digit, or I'd like to see him with 14 rebounds. I'd like to see him just play like 12 and 14 and with like 3-4 blocks, that kind of thing. And the same thing with Mobley. I would like to see Mobley up at 10 to 12 rebounds and like 2 blocks, just not giving up second chance opportunities. That would be,
Well, I mean, if people are out there looking for player props in this game. I mean, good luck, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring. So, if you're looking for Allen to get 15 or Mobley to get 20 or Harden to get 25 or Mitchell to get 30 or Struce to get another 20, good luck with that, man. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be doing that.
Not doing what?
Betting on player props for this game, like points and all that shit. You're gonna lose.
Well, I mean, what it comes down to is somebody besides the odds that Harden playing the extended minutes he's playing is going to have another big game are limited.
Nil.
I mean, you just can't expect it from a 36-year-old guy. And, we need Spider to have a big game, but we're going to need that help from somebody off the bench. And if they're going to leave Dean Wade open, if Dean Wade hits 3 threes, that's going to hurt them in the end. It all adds up. And same thing with Merrill. If he gets going and he hits like 4 of them, and then Donovan's hitting some, once you hit that 13 plus number, it is very hard for the Pistons.
Well, the great thing about made threes is that there are no long rebounds and fast breaks off of them. You make a 3, and then they have to take the ball in court, and then we can press them and stop them. I mean, just making baskets is so important for the defense that it's just never really emphasized on the television or anything. But these long rebounds that start off fast breaks for Detroit, you gotta fucking make shots.
I'm thinking this is going to be a nail biter.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be up till 4 a.m. worried about this. So, anyway, yeah. Is it a 1 o'clock game? I mean, 8 p.m. game
tonight?
Yeah,
7. It's a 7 start. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's better for me then. Yeah.
And this worries me. Kenny Atkinson 90 minutes ago basically was the pre-game 6 chat with the press. He said, this is a great opportunity in front of our great fans. Also, we have appropriate fear of the Pistons. I don't want to hear about fucking fear. Respect. Why do you use the fucking word fear, you little moron? I mean,
he's a puss. God damn it. Jesus.
I know. Maybe he has fear. And that's not, and the players can sniff that out.
I don't know. I've gone off him. So anyway.
So,
it's on Prime. That's one thing I do now.
Yeah, it is. It's a Prime
game. So I can have it on my huge TV if I so desire.
You want to predict the score?
Cavs 105, Pistons 93.
All right, and I think the Cavs are going to win. I've already prognosticated that if they won, the second game in Cleveland, that they would and get even, and that they were going to win a game on the road and win this thing. And I think tonight's the night. If it's going to happen, tonight's the night. And I'm looking at a score. Yeah, I'm thinking that the Cavaliers will get about their usual 110, 112 points, somewhere in that range, maybe 108 points, and that the Pistons are going to get somewhere around 102 to 104 points. And it's just going to end up that way. I don't think this is going to be an easy breakaway win. I don't think any Cavs fan is going to be breathing easy until the end of the game, and maybe not if the team doesn't win. But I'm picking them to win. If I had to, again, call a final score, why don't we say 108 to 100 and kind of leave it at that? Before I get out of here, I thought this was interesting. The NFL is pushing back on criticism of streaming games. This is becoming an issue amongst fans. And the funny thing is, Mr. Popularity Donald Trump, Mr. Politician, Mr. Filthy Liar Donald Trump, and I'm sorry, you can vote for him, he can be your president, but he has a real he has a grudge against the NFL because they passed him up on Buffalo.
50 years ago.
Yeah, but and if you remember, he got
Long time
involved in
ago.
that other league, the alternate league.
USFL. And
That's
all
right.
that
He got
bullshit.
involved in that. And
Dan
because
Marino.
he had his hat in the ring for the Buffalo Bills, and they said no. And ever since then, Donald Trump's had a bad taste in his mouth about the NFL. So he's bad mouthing the NFL for showing games, and charging on other channels. The thing that's really interesting, the NFL shows 87% of its games on CBS, NBC, Fox, and ABC.
Yeah, that's higher than the NBA or the.
I mean, I don't know what the bitch is on this. I mean, and they're going to add games on Netflix, and that's going to piss people off. I understand that, and that's but it's not nearly as ridiculous as what we see in basketball, where it's just all over the place. But and the NFL is saying basically they're all spinning. Trump is just trying to pretend like he's a man of the people, and I'm doing this for the fans, and it's like you do nothing for anyone but yourself. You're a politician.
All these sports are international. At some point, there's going to be some international situation where one network has this sport, another network has that sport, and they'll have the rights throughout all 195 countries, or how many exact number there is. That's the way it's going to go, because there's people all over the world watching these basketball games. There's people watching the FA Cup tomorrow all over the world. There's people going to be watching the World Cup all over the fucking world, and cricket and all these other sports. So that's the way it's going, and the NFL have to get into line with it. I mean, they got 9 international games. They're playing in fucking Australia, and Brazil, and Spain, and Germany, and God knows how. Australia. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and my take on the whole thing is the NBA, with all this Peacock nonsense, that if it's being shown on NBC National, that's fine. But if it's a Peacock only game, there's nobody I know who's seeking out buying Peacock Network for their home, for their family viewing. It's just not happening, and that's just a money grab. And but the NFL, at least, if 87% of its games being on regular network television, you got to have a basic package to get your nationals, so you can't really complain too much about that. And
it's going to end up being Rupert Murdoch and fucking Disney and fucking whatever, Ted Turner, Paramount, whatever that shit. And those are going to be the 3 people that are going to run every fucking sport that we got in this world.
Well, and the other thing on the other side of the coin about the NFL is the Wednesday night opening game that's going to be happening in the NFL this year. That's right. For the first time in
fucked up, man.
Yeah. Increased ratings and the league's focus on holiday seasons might well lead to more games on non-traditional days in the future. For example, in addition to the September 9th opener that features a Super Bowl rematch between the Patriots and the Seahawks, there will be a Wednesday night Thanksgiving Eve matchup with the Packers and the Rams. You see, and again, I think this is all so that eventually there'll be 18 games a season.
Yeah.
You see, and you can just see it all happening.
Yeah. They're going to get these fuckers killed, man, before they're 57 nowadays. The average age will go down to 54 or something god horrendous.
Yeah. But again, it is what it is. And I really don't like, and I'll say this about that, about sports in general. I like real sports, and that's football and basketball. I'm not as much of a baseball fan because it's tedious sitting through, 2 hours and 45 minutes of, God knows what. And now that they're challenging strikes and the umpires are wrong half the time, it's like, it's
go fuck themselves.
yeah, it's aggravating. But the worst is this MMA card.
Oh God.
I mean, this is some kind of a crazy fucking situation. A headline event for the MMA for Jake Paul's most valuable promotions. Now, how does a guy who loses fixed fights and wins fixed fights, who's a social media guy who doesn't know how to box himself? Jake Paul is one gigantic joke. He doesn't belong in a ring, and he's managed to, I don't know what it is that people
built
are
this empire of
how they fool people into this shit. I mean, it's like snake oil salesman. But so you have this great fight, Ronda Rousey. Yeah.
She's still alive.
She's still alive and fighting Gina Carano, and and they both made weight for the event. And that's in one respect. And here's what Carano said shortly after the weigh-in. She detailed several health issues she's battled, including the need to lose 100 pounds in order to make this fight a reality.
Fuck.
Since September 2024 to today, I've lost 100 pounds. I mean, she doesn't belong in a ring, and Ronda Rousey never belonged in the ring in the first place. She had that little nasty girl look thing going on, and she looked like she was a female. If they changed the cast,
she had the face thing going on. She looked kind of attractive in a certain way.
Well, no, if she were a guy, she would have been in the movie Deliverance. Okay, I mean. Yeah, but when she actually fought somebody with technical skills, man, she was tapping out, man.
Yeah, she got killed.
Yeah, faster than a bartender just setting up your beer. That's how fast she tapped out. I mean, and so now these two people are going to fight one another, and Jake Paul is just going to make more and more money. And if Carano dies because of the strain on her body, nobody cares about that.
Yeah, it's all fodder,
Yeah, and Carano is 44 years old, man, and Rousey is 39.
Oh, that's
And get this, they are considered the two most influential pioneers in women's MMA, but they're not the best. They never were. I mean, they brought attention because the media brought attention, and they had an act, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, they had a shtick, from 20 years ago, that 2006 or whatever.
And here's what Jake Paul does better than anybody. He feeds off people's carcasses, and the event features multiple former UFC legends, including Nate Diaz and Mike Perry, former heavyweight Francis Ngannou, who Ngannou shouldn't even be anywhere anymore, and Junior Dos Santos. It's ridiculous.
Oh God, I remember seeing them when I had free access to all this. There was
I mean, these people are
12 years ago here in England. You could watch MMA for free. Now I remember them from like 2014 or whatever.
The whole thing is pathetic, and I want real sports.
Somebody's gonna get seriously hurt, and then Jake Paul end up getting arrested, and then investigated and all that shit. So,
well,
yeah, I don't know. The world's so corrupt. I don't know where to start.
Yeah, it's being run by people who are corrupt, and that's just one person. It's the whole group of them.
Thousands of.
Have you seen Fetterman, for the guy from Pennsylvania, the congressional guy?
Yeah.
That guy. I mean, he has damage. He has literal damage. He can't speak. The guy's actually he's down to a 30% popularity rate, positive.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, people in his own state, Pennsylvania, it's like, oh my God, what did we do here? We felt like this guy, needed a boost because he was coming back from stuff he never healed, and he just went in and shit all over the Democratic Party, and then just to make a name for himself, and now he can't even communicate in full sentences. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And there's no mechanism to put any of this to bed. There's no mechanism to get rid of people that don't belong where they are, and I'll leave it at that, really, because
yeah. And Robert, thank you for stopping by. And I know Moohead Radio has become more of a niche Cleveland Browns kind of thing, and I think it's just because I've been a Browns fan for, of course, longer than the Cavaliers have been in existence.
correct.
And so,
do you remember when the Cincinnati Royals used to play games at the Cleveland Arena?
yeah,
Did you ever go to any of those?
no,
No, I was too little, but yeah, for people who don't know, the Cincinnati Royals had Oscar Robertson. They used to play like 2 or 3 games in the Cleveland Arena because they felt sorry for us, like back in like 1966 or 67, and that was the basketball you got in Cleveland.
well, and Shane, you say the Browns have the easiest schedule, and we'll talk about this later. I don't want to get into all of this, but believe me, the Cleveland Browns are going to have enough trouble fielding a good enough team to win a couple of times this year. I mean,
I wouldn't even look at the schedule now.
No, it means nothing.
Preseason.
It means nothing. But thank you, Robert Craig. I appreciate it. He's a Pistons fan.
We're quite friendly to team fans from other teams because we all have that same fan camaraderie, the same fan feel. You want to see your team win.
If you're a Pistons fan, you like JB because he's brought the team from absolute darkness into a 60-win season, and that's great stuff. We have a dimmer view of him because we watched him run a team into the ground, and I'm afraid for Cade Cunningham that physically he's going to be beaten down, and if they don't get players who, if they keep underachieving with guys like Duran and Tobias Harris gets so old that he can't help them anymore, they need to find other players that if they're winning 60 games a year, they're not going to be in a great draft position. So it's a challenge to be a winning team, period. So give JB and the fans of Detroit what they deserve, which is applause. I'm glad the team's winning. And honestly, flip a coin. I don't think that there's much difference between the Pistons and the Cavaliers. So far, they go about their business a different way, but in the end, they're all going to be relatively close games, I think, and it could go either way. And if the Cavaliers lose, they lose. I'm not going to sit here and scream and go berserk, and I'm not going to curse the Detroit Pistons. I don't have the only time I have a problem is if somebody really does something violent and does something that can injure a player. Then I have a real problem. And I'm afraid that with JB's emotionalism, these guys may be driven to do something like that.
He's sort of Bill Musselman type of thing. People were going on about Ted Stepien a few weeks ago on the program, and Bill Musselman was our coach back then.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I wasn't on that program, but oh god, what a nightmare he was. But yeah, I mean, I picked 105-93 only because I think Detroit is going to fall away towards the end of the game, and we'll get some easy points towards the end.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a close game for quite some time, and that Detroit will fall away like the dew.
Fingers crossed. So you heard it from a cow. The Cavaliers will win. Let's hope that I'm right this time like I was the last time. Let's hope. And we'll be all watching the game. And I'm not going to be commenting on Twitter about this because I just want to watch and learn, because if there is going to be a game 7, I want to be able to analyze exactly what went wrong in game 6 and what they have to clean up. So I can't be just typing on my phone and going back and forth. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. Bronk, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. And let's hope it goes well. I'm going to hop into a shower, and then I'll be ready to rumble watching the Cavs. I hope the outcome's great. And any way you look at it, I hope you enjoy watching the game wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time, which might be sooner than you think because of the crunch down NBA schedule. But until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Gonna make it happen.